Hey guys, welcome back with another video with Linksi. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today we're going to be doing a review of Stronghold Warlords. It's a new game coming out in the Stronghold series, which is organized and produced by Firefly Studios, which have been very gracious and generous to allow me an early access to the game. As many of you who've played Stronghold in the past, it needs no introduction. It's a castle building simulator. To those new people, this castle building simulator allows you to build massive walls, crazily large armies, and an economy to back up all of your troops, bringing your population, keeping them happy enough or terrified enough in certain situations that they will pay the taxes, and hence you can pay your armies and get more troops and defeat your enemies. Warlords is set in the eastern region of the world. We are looking at China, Vietnam, Mongolia and Japan, and with some interesting campaigns. There are economic campaigns. In this case there's a single economic campaign which we'll look at soon, and there are a number of aggression campaigns which all put interesting scenarios, although some of them do need a little bit of work, and there are still some bugs in the game as of this build. However, I've been told there will be a day one patch. So looking at the campaigns, single player campaigns, tutorials, custom skirmish modes, free builds and community maps. It's good that there are community maps that are available, as it will help the fact that the multiplayer maps available are very small. There are 8 maps there, 10 maps, and they're not really that good. It offers the same usual things that you were expecting with Stronghold. You have, the economy changes, the starting goods, and the balance disadvantage with the AI and others. You can open public lobbies. You have everything that's always there. With regards to the game itself, how it is played, you can see here the campaigns that are available: 4 military campaigns and 1 economic campaign, and you all offer a variant amount of difficulty. The first campaign you will do is with the jungles, and then you'll unlock both the economic and the Chinese campaign, after beating which you'll be able to access the Mongol and finally the Japanese after Mongol. Each campaign has 7 missions, and each mission has different objectives and different scenarios. Some of them are ridiculously fun, specifically the economic campaign and the Japanese campaign were just captivated me, and I really wanted to play them. However, I cannot say the same about the Jungle Kingdoms, which I'll show you the first mission now. It's you can do it easy, medium or hard, but this campaign itself was a little bit of a letdown. Again, I would understand why, because it probably was a campaign that was aimed at teaching people how to play the game, just showing off the basics, how units work, especially people who've never played Stronghold before. However, it felt as if it was just an extra long tutorial guide that there is a specific tutorial as well. You need to hold off the incoming invasion, and this one's very simple. You just recruit units, you build basic economies such as wood, and get your villagers food, making sure your villagers get the food they need and getting the villagers happy. You just have to keep fighting the incoming invasion over there. Once you beat that, it tells you to recruit a specific army, and then you need to go and kill the other invading forces. It's not too complicated, it's quite simple. It gives you very limited access of building and tech trees, but it does get the job done. I do think it could have been a little bit more complicated, or just adding a little bit more lessons in the first mission, but that is, personal preference, and I do consider myself to be quite experienced in RTS, in general. With regards to the campaign, economically wise, this is a free build map that I decided to do to test out everything. I've built a massive settlement where I have unlocked all the technologies. I built, food economies. It shows you, you can build any castle you want at this point. And this is what's beautiful about this game, is you can build the castle of your dreams and just set up according to the situation. In this case over here, I am just, showing you the abilities you can do, how you can build your castle walls, and what sort of wonky shapes you can go to. And it tends to be pretty amazing. You fill these castle walls with archers and defensive forces, and to do so you need to build military buildings and the such. I found this to be quite enjoyable. As always, this is the reason why we play Stronghold games, because it gives you this incredible functionality. As you see, they do include a top-down view, but it's not like the older Stronghold games where you had quite easy access to it. you need to access on the bottom left side on top of the map and the eye that's there. Building, just showcasing a little bit more building over here, and just showing you what you can do. You need to keep workers happy, and you need to keep workers coming. Workers need better housing, and you need to always keep a check on the housing. A little mini game in the game itself, like something else to micromanage, and it's very important to do so effectively. The micromanaging of these houses is important, and the economy as well. Economy is ridiculously important as in any game. But more so that you need to keep a balance between happy people and the taxation, and they do add quite a few things. There is a new mechanic which I don't remember in the older games, where you have well, it used to be there in the form of a church, but now the temples increase productivity as well of the surrounding buildings, and it shows you the region that it affects. I like the fact that the auto selling that I don't remember in the older games, but I have not played Stronghold 2 and Stronghold 3, so it could be I have already been there, and it does make a little bit of a good impact, as it allows less micromanaging. Build a massive economy there to build troops. The troops you can build are the following: you have the basic, the unarmored, advanced, and then the advanced cavalry, but then you also have the special building units which you can get. Now, moving into a little bit more of aggressive one. This is a custom scenario, and it's just showcasing you how the attacks generally happen. Also, in custom scenarios, you have to control and micromanage various different warlords, and I'll get to that in a second. It's generally speaking, these warlords give you extra resources, or you can use them to attack. You upgrade them and they give them walls, and it generally is an interesting micromanagement. It helps you since you're going to be contained in a very small area of the map and you have to stay there. Here I recruited some samurai, which are ridiculously powerful units, but they are so slow, whereas the other troops are quite fast themselves. I am taking this castle without any siege. I will show you the impact of siege later on in this video, as that can be quite amazing. As I was saying, you can recruit the various warlords to join you by giving them the influence, and this influence is in the form of diplomatic points. You gain diplomatic points from building specific building, and it's quite interesting as it does add a little bit, but I do feel that certain custom scenarios and certain campaign scenarios make it overly depend on this mechanic, whereas you could do other stuff. Over here I just show you that you can actually upgrade the warlords, and you give them walls and upgrade them. I do like the fact that you can do this, and it adds a little functionality, but I also find it a little bit irritating that I could not expand my castle and keep building more and more and more. I like to have a bludgeoning empire, multiple layers of walls, and sadly the maps seem to only allow you a very small land. There are some maps that allow you to have quite a bit of land to build on and build massive armies, but its scale seems to be quite diminutive compared with other Stronghold, especially Stronghold Crusader, the one that's probably remembered the most, as that you could build ridiculous armies. And as you see here, we killed Genghis Khan, however we did not take over his land, and that could be something that could be added very easily, allowing the victor of a region to take over land. My favorite thing in this game is the rocket missiles, and as you can see, they are fun. They're super expensive. They're not that easy to get, but they do offer an amazing thing. And over here I'm going to showcase the impact of fire and how damaging it can be on an army or on a castle. You don't need to assault a castle like with an all-out assault. You could do this, which is slow bombardment. It hurts the AI, but the AI, of course, as you can see, has a ridiculously powerful castle. But what's hurting here is the fire. The fire is going to catch onto buildings, and unless you have a lot of water pots, it's going to burn down the entire settlement. You need like 6 or 7 water pots everywhere, as I just found it really fun to burn down things, and as you can see, it burnt everything. That said, we're gonna jump into one of the campaign missions to just see a little bit how it goes. This is what I was referring to. Like, it always tells you to keep capturing warlords in every mission. This is one of the first missions. It shows you, introduces you to iron, and it introduces you to armored units. and you have to capture the warlords. You are squashed in a very tiny area. You don't have access to stone. You have to keep requesting stone from one of the warlords, and you have to fight against this guy who is very much entrenched. However, once you attack them, they don't rebuild. They don't get more troops. They do send armies at you, and they do tend to hurt you quite a bit. Here I show the consulate building. You can build 4 of these, and you can build 2 embassies. These buildings will give you opportunity to get more diplomatic points, which I was speaking about before, the diplomatic points which you could use. Over here we see one of the waves. I think this is early on in the mission, on normal difficulty, but the waves just keep building up. They come at patterns, and if you have enough archers, you can pretty much massacre everything. As will happen in this case. I have a very well defended wall, and I can just keep mass producing archers at my heart's content. I can request my warlords to give me resources, so I couldn't really lose, but at the same time it felt a little bit slow. You could get one of your warlords to build specific buildings and organize themselves to attack. In this scenario, in multiple scenarios, each warlords have different abilities they give you, but I did find it to be a little bit it could have been worked on, expanded more. They could be expanding on it later on, but it is something that I would have expected to be a little bit more expanded.
Now the question remains is, what will I rank this game out of 10? Initially I was gonna give it a higher score, but since at the moment of recording this video I hadn't yet checked multiplayer, I thought to stop with my recording and actually play a few hours of multiplayer. I've played around 2 hours of it, and I must say it was not what I hoped for, and so automatically ranking will go down. Multiplayer is still very buggy. There is lack of maps, as you saw earlier, and there is a lack of stuff to actually do. The castle building is fun but limited, as we discussed. There is, of course, which unfortunately ruins the immersion into the game, stuttering that happens, and the random crashes, which sadly will affect the game. If the game is still like this on launch, it will be, of course, unfortunate. That said, I would give the game a 6, a solid 6. It's a good game in its basis. It has good ideas. It's a tried and tested method. It is something that we've already experienced before, and if you've played Stronghold before, you're gonna really enjoy this. If you're a new player to the series, it will be fun if you like real-time strategy, if you like castle building, if you like economy structuring. It can be fun. Will it justify the cost of a 40 euro expense? Possibly not, sadly. If you really like the game, go ahead and buy it. Yeah, there you go. But I cannot in my good conscience tell you to wholeheartedly recommend this game. It's a game that I would pick up on a sale. It's a game that I would get for a friend if it was slightly cheaper than it is right now. At 30 euros, it would be a good price for it. 40 euros, even though it's cheaper than others, we're gonna get 20 hours of game playing out of it. That's definite. That's something that I'm pretty sure you would. I've rushed the campaign, so you probably get even longer. I genuinely rushed the campaign. I beat it in a day and a half. You all know me by now. I min-max as much as possible, so the game itself was, easier. Especially since I've played most of the Stronghold titles, with the exception of Stronghold 3 and Stronghold 2 previously, so that makes a big difference as well, because I had the experience of that. I enjoyed some campaigns, namely the Japanese campaign was ridiculously fun. The Mongol campaign was immensely fun as well. The economic campaign, the Chinese and the jungle campaign, unfortunately I found a little bit too boring for my taste, and the multiplayer experience lacks something. It just misses something. The AI also is very weak and not incredibly basic in its function. It sends very predictable attack patterns, very predictable armies, easily countered, and there isn't something that can make it strong enough. Even on the hardest difficulty, it just sends 2 attacks early on and then it just stops for ages. Yeah, I would say it's a solid 6. I wouldn't highly recommend it straight out of the shelf, but it will go on sale. Then yes, grab it if it's on sale. I'm very sad that I have to give a game, especially a game series from my childhood, such a low ranking. But I mean, by no stretch of the imagination is it a horrible game, but it is neither a great game. And I find myself in a weird situation where I had fun playing it, but I would know that it has a lot of bugs and a lot of issues as well. But I do want to give a fair and reasoned opinion, because I believe that is why you guys would trust me and my opinion by watching stuff. And if I was to lie to you and tell you buy the game, I would be wrong in doing so. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it informative. If you do end up buying the game, please do tell me if you enjoyed it or not and what you found to be the most fun out of it. And I hope to see you in the future. Bye bye.